I remember the doctor came in because I literally was like, I got to get out of here. I've got a show on Saturday. And they're like, no, you're not getting out of here. And my doctor, I remember she just says, you're not going to perform again. We're not sure if you're going to walk again, and you're lucky to be alive. And I think she was saying this to me to like really get me into like, see how serious it was. But I was like, no, I got to go. I got to call my boss. I got to be there Saturday. Like it still wasn't sinking into me. And she's like, you have a very serious like thing, and this could have killed you. And like, you're lucky that you're in pain, because otherwise you wouldn't have had any other symptoms and you could have died. Like you could have been dead by today. And so I don't think I understood the severity until years later, like, oh, that could have killed me. However, I thought as soon as the bacteria was gone, I'd be able to walk, and it took a long time. And I remember, I ended up getting out of the hospital. I had to move back to my parents. I was sleeping downstairs on the couch because I couldn't climb up the stairs. And I just remember thinking, I wish it did kill me, because this is miserable. And if I can't walk, if I'm going to be a handicapped person, I'd rather be dead. And my big shift there was one of my dear, dear friends was 18 years old, and she just got diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And she came to visit me after I had gotten out of the hospital, and I was starting to use a walker. I had one leg, my right leg could move a little bit. So I could like lean on the walker, move my right leg, and then just like drag my left leg. So I had opened the door when she came to see me. I was in the walker, opened the door, and she just stood there and she was like, Danny, I am so sorry. I can't believe this happened to you. It's so unfair. And she said, it's so unfair. And I just remember getting this pit in my stomach, like, Kelly has cancer. She's going to die. And she's saying it's unfair that I can't walk. And after she left, I was like, damn, I got to get my act together, and I had done all this like personal development and listened to all these tapes. And so I was like, okay, where do I start? Like gratitude practice. So I started just with this silly gratitude practice. Like, okay, instead of being upset that I can't walk, I at least should be grateful that I'm going to live. And instead of being upset that I live with my parents, at least I'm grateful I have somewhere to go. And so it started there. And I, within a year, I was able to walk again, like without a noticeable limp or anything like that. And within a year, Kelly passed away. And so I really like give credit to her. Like that moment was the moment of me getting out of my pity party and going, wait a second, this is not okay. And I also shifted my mindset too. And I think this was important, that even if I did stay in a walker my whole life, even if I was not able to walk again, I still was trying to find possibilities and ways that I could like make it work, because I realized that was really a second chance at life, or another, maybe a third chance or fourth chance at life. But it was something that I had to shift. And back to like writing the story of like, I had to get out of, I wasn't an acrobat, and I'm not a performer, and maybe I'm not a gymnast. And like, those were identities I really hung on to. And so I had to turn that around and go, okay, who am I without movement, without being able to do stuff? Like my friends don't just love me because I can walk or because I can do flips. My friends like me because of what are these things. And so that was actually a big piece of me trying to figure out who I was what do my friends hang out with me for? Is it because my body? Is it because what I can do? And it's like, no, it's how you make people feel. It's, sense of humor. It's like how you show up in the world, how you care about people. And so I think if you're, kind of maybe feeling this way too about like some kind of part of your personality or part of your identity has been shifted, is thinking about, why do people love you and what are they there for? And is it because of your money or your stuff or what you do? And if the answer is yes, then you probably need new friends. But if you're being honest with yourself, the answer is no. Your people around you, the people who really love you and support you, aren't with you because of that stuff.
That's a hard one to accept, I think, because I think that needs to start with us liking ourselves and seeing the good in ourselves. And your friend, I mean, obviously an angel, to give you that lesson in a way, and how heartbreaking that is. But it took going within. And I'm just even thinking about what you're saying is like, it is how we make people feel. But so many of us, I feel, don't even like ourselves or don't see the good in ourselves. So it's hard for us to say, this is why this person likes me. If we can't see it for ourselves, how do we acknowledge that someone may like us for something other than our money, our looks, our body, what we do for them?
Yeah. I don't think so. After I was paralyzed, I ended up getting in the fitness industry. Partially because I think when you're paralyzed, the only thing you want to do is walk. And so I was like, when I can walk again, I'm going to run. Like I started doing marathons and just extreme fitness. And I worked with a lot of people with eating disorders and body image stuff. And, there's this talk of like self-love and like, how do you love yourself if you hate yourself? Like, how do you love your body if you really hate your body? And I would share this, that you don't necessarily have to start with self-love. I kind of joked on this one podcast. I was like, sometimes you just have to start with self-meh. Like, all right, I don't hate it myself, but I don't love myself either, because that's fine. Sometimes we just have to get to neutrality. I think, especially if you've had any kind of self-hatred or low self-esteem for a long time, you cannot go from like hating yourself, hating your thighs, hating your body, to like, now I love myself. Like that's a huge jump. You have to get to a place where you're just like, all right, well, I like my knees. Like they're not the worst. And like my feet are okay. Like I hate my face. I hate my stomach. I hate my butt. Like I've hated every part of my body. And then I've had to look and just find like, all right, well, my ears are fine. Like not every part of me is the worst. So I think it comes to like starting with neutrality, like self-myth, and moving from there. And you have to know your friends, even if you don't see it, even if your friends are like, I think you're so fantastic. And you're like, I'm not, but they're probably not lying. So you got to like believe them, and you don't have to believe it about yourself. But I think it starts with like just getting to a place of neutrality. I don't think we could jump straight from hate to love.